All right, we're going to run through quickly how to set up a GPT Assistant in the OpenAI front end, connect it through Zapier to a Notion database. Because really, what these GPTs are just workflows. So we want these workflows to be able to take actions and do useful things with them. So this is if you click Explore, I'll have my GPTs up at the top here and then scroll down. And these are some ones pre-made by OpenAI, recently used. We're going to go right into create a GPT beta up top. Hi, I'll help you build a GPT. So this is a familiar chat window, just like using a chat GPT where you can start talking to this chat window and it will help you configure your GPT assistant because everything that you type in here is just going to get added into the instructions here, which at the end of the day is a glorified prompt. So let's get into it. I'm going to move myself over here for a second. Your purpose is to help me build a GPT assistant that provides motivational quotes to the user and then saves them through a Zapier action into a Notion database. Enter. Updating GPT here means that it's going to start filling out this configure tab here, which we'll see once it's finished running. You can do it, little buddy. GPT behavior updated, check mark. How about naming this GPT Motivation Mover? Does this name sound good to you? Sure. It's going to generate the profile picture, which it pulls from DALL-E 3. And you can obviously have a conversation here and change things around or say, I don't like that name, or just go straight into the configure tab and enter a name yourself. Sunshine. I like it. Looks great. Let's refine the context of Motivation Mover a bit more. What specific types of motivational quotes should it focus on? For instance, should it provide quotes for specific situations like overcoming challenges, starting a new venture, or general life inspiration? Let's stick to general life inspiration for this example. Are there any specific ways you want Motivation Mover to handle user requests? For example, should it always ask for context or should it provide random quotes? Random quotes are fine for now. I wonder if this is bugging out here because it's not letting me press enter. It's jumping on it. It's updating it quickly. Interesting. I'm going to refresh this for a second. Configure. So if we look at the configure tab here, it's auto-filled the description and the instructions. Your role is to assist users by providing motivational quotes and facilitating the saving of these quotes through a Zapier action into a Notion database. So this is good enough to start here. Okay, I'm going to name this Motivation to Notion Assistant. All right. So below the instructions, we have conversation starters here, which are fine as is, because this is what's going to show up on the bottom right-hand side for buttons for you to just click as a nice UX experience for the user. But here's where we want to focus in on our Zapier action here. At the bottom, we have a button that says Add Actions, and it asks for the schema for this action here. Now for Zapier, we're going to go to the new Zapier Docs that just launched here, and they have a GPT writing instructions URL, which I will post in the description below. But this special URL, we're going to copy to our clipboard, come back to the assistant. There's a button here that says import from URL. And if I paste this URL and click import, It is going to autofill this schema for us. And you'll notice that as soon as I did this, we now have 2 actions that have populated under available actions. The first one is list available actions. And the next one is run action. If we look at the path here, there is an important thing that we need to notice here, which is the available action ID, which is something that we're going to need to retrieve later when we're creating this Zap. Okay. So how do we create our first Zap? We know that this is going to create some sort of motivational quote. How do we link this up to Zapier? There's another URL, which is GPT Actions here, which is going to ask you, hey, do you want to link your OpenAI account to Zapier? Allow. And then you come to this screen here, which is blank when you're first starting out because you haven't added any actions. So we're going to click add a new action here. And it's just like creating any other Zap that you've done. So we're going to do Notion. And then it's going to auto-populate with the available Notion things. And we want to create a database item here because that's what we want to try to do. Choose account. It's a Notion account. It's going to ask you to link again. Now for this database value, it's going to say have AI guess a value for this field. And I'm going to keep this as is because the AI assistant is going to generate this motivational quote for us. And this is what we want in our database. So if we show all options here, you can also include some formatting and other things. This action name is actually important and we're going to want to fill it out because we're going to feed this back to our OpenAI assistant here. So it's recommending that I name it Notion Create Database Item. Sounds great. Now, here's an interesting box, which is require preview before running AI action. And I'm going to check this box because when the first time you run this, it's helpful in troubleshooting. So we're going to enable this action now. And now instead of the blank page that I had before, I have my first GPT action that we've created. And you'll notice this is toggled on. Obviously, needs to be toggled on green in order for it to work in your GPT. So now, how do we link this to our GPT? If we go back to our Zapier Docs, one of the things in the writing instructions here is this is what they want you to enter into the prompt screen, which is here are some rules, here are instructions for the custom action, and here are the required action. So if we copy all of this, and come back to our GPT, we go back to configure. So under our instructions here, we're going to hit enter a few times just to break up the space. We're going to paste this entire thing in here. Okay. Now, the rules are fine, the instructions are fine, but for the required actions, they have pre-populated some actions that they used in an example. Now, how do we get our Notion action in here? Okay. Delete this one here. So the first thing is the action name, which if you remember, going back to our actions, is show options, Notion create database item. So that is the first one. So we go back to our GPT, delete Google Calendar find event, Notion create database item. And then for this confirmation link, instead of the confirmation link, what we're going to do is we're going to paste the action ID, which we're going to get back from this page when we open up our Zapier action. The URL at the top is going to have a string of numbers at the end of the URL. I'm going to copy it and paste it into the GPT so you see this. So it's a string of numbers and letters, and this is what the required action ID is actually going to look like. So I'm going to do required action ID colon boom. So now if this AI assistant is prompted to add this to Notion, it will use this Zap in order to create our database item. So let's pull up our Notion page here, and I have a list of impactful quotes. Well, I don't want to just have this all loose like this. I want to create a new database here. So I'm going to create a database inline. I'm going to title it Motivational Quotes. I actually deleted the title of this. Inspirational quotes. Here. Let's delete these for the time being. So the reason that this naming is important is because when you actually create this, it's going to also ask you what pages do you allow it to access. And since I already went through this once, I specifically said, hey, this inspirational quote page is what I want to talk to for Notion. So keep that in mind. If you want to give blanket coverage to your entire Notion workspace or just a few pages, you have the ability to do that. But the title of this database, the GPT is going to request, where do you want to add this? And since I'm in inspirational quotes, I named this motivational quotes. Oh, it's impactful quotes. Good call. All right, let's see if this works. I'll come back over here. Share me a quote about overcoming challenges. The greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it. You got this. Would you like to add this quote to your database? All right, that quote is pretty weak, but let's just, for time's sake, let's just say yes. We want to add this to a database. And you can see, all right, now it's calling. Some info is going to send to actions.zapier.com. Only do this for sites you trust. Allow. And this is part of the steps here that it's asking you to do this to make sure that you want to do this. Because every time you do this, you start hitting APIs, you start, using tasks and tokens out in the real world. You want to make sure that this is the action you want to do. Great. Looks like we can add the quote to your Notion database. I'm going to start the process now. Adding the quote. The quote is ready to be added. To confirm and complete the action, please visit the following link. And remember that I checked that box that I wanted to review this action before sending, which is why it is doing this step again, because I allowed the initial interaction with Zapier, and now it's ready to run. But before it does, it's going to say, hey, are you sure? If I click this link, this is the preview that I wanted to see, okay, which is it's got motivational quotes in the database, which is the one that I want, and it's got this name field in the database being populated with the quote. So I'm going to go ahead and let this run. If you get a blank here and it's just a database name, or the database name is wrong, you can go back and prompt your GPT to let them know. It says, hey, I've got, a missing body here in this field. It's blank. Go make sure that you grab it. So every now and again, this GPT assistant might hallucinate or might not complete the entire message, which is why it's helpful sometimes to review these before running. We're going to click run. Action run. You can close this window and return to GPT. If I show the result details here, you're going to see some additional information from the Zap, which is the URL of the database here, and then some more information just in case you have more complex data that you're sending here than just a motivational quote. This can get useful because it can be accessed. go back to the GPT. Oh, let's check our Notion page. Here we go. So now, the greater the obstacle, the more glory in overcoming it, okay? So we just did 3 things. We spun up a GPT. We gave it instructions on creating motivational quotes. We've connected to a Zapier action, and now it's taking that quote and inserting it into a Notion database. And that is what I wanted to show you here. We go back and say, please give me another quote on overcoming challenges. Strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. When you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that is strength. Arnold Schwarzenegger. All right, that's much better than the first one. If you'd like, I'd like you to add this quote to your Notion database. Just let me know. Okay, one thing I'm going to do before I say yes is I'm going to come back to this action here. I'm going to uncheck review require preview before running AI action. Click done. Come back. Yes, please add this to my Notion. Talking to actions.zapier.com. Good job, GPT Assistant. Yes, I want you to allow this. Oh, now it's going to come with a bug. Is this action ID correct? Did that change when I checked that box? Oh, that looks right. Or J. Can we try that again? Interesting. So I wonder why the action ID Okay, after troubleshooting this thing for a few minutes, I came to the sudden realization that variable names are extremely important. Who would have guessed? We click configure down here on our actions. We see our available action run action, which is running this Zap. What is the variable name? It is available action ID. And what did I place in the instructions? Required action ID, which is not the correct variable name. So if I change that, we should fix our problem, which it's kind of impressive that the GPT was able to execute this on the first pass to begin with. But that just goes to show you the power of some of these things. Okay, if we click now, I need motivation for starting something new. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. Mark Twain. Simple. Again, let's add this to Notion database, please. We remember hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny was what we had before. We're going to allow the Zap action. It also says it's checked, and I do have the required Zapier AI action enabled for Notion create database item. So that's the name that we have here before. Just confirming that we are on the right path here. The quote, "The secret of getting ahead and getting started, Mark Twain, has been successfully added to your Notion database." Secret of getting ahead is Mark Twain. And look, this just added some additional tags as well. So remember the difference here. I unchecked the required preview before running AI action here on this Zapier setup page. So it did not ask me before it ran this. It just dumped it right into the database. So there is your successful link of creating a GPT, having a custom action through Zapier, and dumping outputs into a Notion database. Now, this example is not going to blow anybody's heads off or be super impressive, but I always find it's helpful to start simple because then you can start thinking about your own personal workflows and your businesses and your agencies. And what are some things that I can do with these GPTs? What are some custom actions that I can tie a Zap into that are helpful if you're creating images or pulling Canva, you're making emails, you're writing blog posts or tweets or anything like that. You want a place to be able to store this because the general chat window in GPT, it's not very user friendly for storing conversations. So you want to be able to tap in to your existing CMSs and whatever you use to stay organized. Anyways, that's all I've got today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching.